Test microphone, it works. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome this afternoon at the end of the 2 days Council meeting of the Ministers of the European Space Agency. Works have been concluded. We conclude with the press conference, which sees the presence of Begoña Cristeto Blasco, who is the Vice Minister for Industry and Small and Medium Enterprises from Spain. And she is the president for the council, ministerial level that will come next time. And she's been working for this council as well. And we have Mauro Dell'Ambrogio, who's Secretary of State for Education, Research and Innovation here in Switzerland, who has been hosting us. And then we have Jan Werner, the Director General of the European Space Agency, and Franco Bonacina, the spokesman for the Director General and Head of Communication. Thank you for being here. I leave the floor directly to Begoña Cristeto, and then we'll pass it on to Mauro Dell'Ambrogio, and we enchain with Jan Werner. This is Cristeto.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for attending this press conference of 2016 ESA Council of Ministerial Level. First of all, let me state that chairing this ESA Council at ministerial level has been a honor for Spain, for the Spanish Minister of Economy, Industry and Competitiveness, and for myself. I would also like to express my satisfaction with how successful this Ministerial Council has been. The Executive has prepared a very appealing set of proposals, and ESA Member States have made a great effort to come up with the required budget so that the final result has been an overall contribution of more than 10,000 million euros, including mandatory and optional programs. As head of the Spanish delegation, let me add here that Spain has also substantially contributed to this success with a level of financial commitment above 600 million euros. Let me also point out the high level of commitment and spirit of cooperation that all member states have shown during these 2 days. Space continues to be a field of cooperation above political and economical difference and a reference of the international scene. We have discussed matters such as space exploration, including ExoMars mission and International Space Station. We have also tackled with very sensitive issues like those related to launchers and access to space, and last but not least, we have addressed important financial matters like the funding required by the level of resources of the agency, comprising the scientific program and the basic activities. In this respect, I'm glad to be in a position to inform you that all these sensitive and challenging discussions had been satisfactorily solved on the basis of mutual understanding and common objectives. Before finishing this intervention, I would also like to make a reference of the recently approved EU Space Strategy for Europe and the joint statement on a shared vision and goals for the future of Europe in space by the EU and ESA. These two documents are steps forward and even larger cooperation between European Union and ESA and other players in space looking for synergies and covering all different areas of space from science to fully operational programs. Let me finish by thanking Switzerland and the Executive for the organization of the meeting, and we look forward to meeting you all in Spain in the next ministerial. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. I have to take especially for the Swiss press. It's okay if I go on in English or I have to switch to German or any other national language. Okay, I go on in English. As you know, Switzerland had during the last 4 years together with Luxembourg the co-presidency of ESA. And was an honor to host this conference. It's quite unusual for Switzerland to host a ministerial meeting on a European level for well-known reasons. And we try to do our best, especially I want to thank the canton of Lucerne, the city of Lucerne, and the management of KKL for the very exceptional engagement. you know, it's the first time that the big auditorium of KKL is used for such a meeting, and not only for arts and music. I think that was a success for Lucerne as well, to prove that it's possible to host a congress of this size in this location. Every participant was happy for the logistic and the support, and in this sense, the conference was for Switzerland a success. But sure, more important than logistic are the decision that was taken in this conference. I think it's a task of Director General to give figures and contents. It's my task simply to confirm that for Switzerland, ESA is important. We are one of the few European countries not having its own space agency. ESA is our agency. All Swiss programs are made through ESA. And since the beginning, since the creation of ESA, we are a reliable partner, trying to make our priorities. Switzerland is especially active in precision instruments, and in every mission, you remember Rosetta or other missions, there are special precision instruments built by Swiss companies, sometimes small and medium companies in cooperation with research institutions. We have universities and University of Applied Science in Switzerland that contributes largely to with high scientific and technological products to the activities of ESA. We were able, with the commitment in this agency, to confirm the presence of Swiss industry and Swiss research institution in next mission of ESA. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Jan Werner.
Yeah, first of all, I would like to thank, of course, the host, Switzerland, and especially Mr. Dell'Ambrogio. It was just excellent for us to be here in Lucerne at this time, close to Christmas. A very nice atmosphere, and I'm quite sure that this location, as well as the time shortly before Christmas, made also part of the success of this ministerial. Secondly, I would like to thank the new presidency, Spain, and especially the chair lady, Begoña de Cristetto, because I can tell you it's not that easy as it looks like from outside to moderate such a process with 22 member states. But in addition, we had, of course, Canada, we have Slovenia as an associate state of ESA right now, plus the observers, etc. So thank you very much, Begoña. That was really excellent. So, and it was, for me, a special challenge. As you know, it was my first council meeting on ministerial level on the other side of the table, so to say, as a Director General. And therefore, I would like now to inform you a little bit about what we discussed. There was a question, is now ESA without aim? No, it's not. We have some aims, we have even more than one, and I will explain that in a minute. I will go then also through numbers, and as I have the directors of ESA over here, and we are together a team, I would like you, the directors, whenever I say something which you know it's incorrect, directly correct it. It makes no sense that we correct it afterwards when it's in the newspaper. So we are working together. My paper is still warm from printing, so I hope that I have the right numbers, but again. So it was not only about numbers. Of course, numbers are what is at the next day, more or less in the newspapers and in the media. But what was very important, and Begoña mentioned it already, was this political statement. You know, we have this joint statement, ESA-EU, about common goals, common objectives, very important, short, but very important. And this is now the next step. We have on the EU side, the EU objectives written down in their strategy paper, and the Council here confirmed the ESA part of it. So under the headline of Space 4.0, United Space in Europe. So we have this part also, and this part also gives a clear statement how to develop the future, how to tackle the challenges of different roles, different actors in space, new technologies, more participation, commercialization, All of this put together in our logo, which you saw of this council meeting, with the information, innovation, interaction and inspiration. Information, because space gives information to citizens, to the political part or for decisions. Space is innovation not only within space itself, but also in other areas, so cross-fertilization is an important issue. The interaction not only in ESA, so we are in our genes already very multidisciplinary or diverse, or however you use the wording, with our different member states and the different actors. But with the United Space in Europe, we would like even stronger more strongly cooperate with other entities in Europe, be it the European Commission or EUMETSAT or the European Southern Observatory and so on. So this is for interaction. And then inspiration. I'm quite sure that this is not only a question of Europe, it is of human society. We need inspiration for the future. Inspiration is a driver. From inspiration and fascination, you come to motivation. And for me, it's very clear we are responsible for the motivation of the next generation to create the future. So therefore, inspiration and fascination is not just something, it is a must. All of this is put together in a statement which the Council confirmed, which paves the way for the future, which defines also where we should look into more details of how to make our work even better. And ESA will be in the future not just the European Space Agency. Yes, we will be the European Space Agency, this is confirmed. But at the same time, we are an enabler for cooperation with industry, with other nations, with other space agencies, with academia. So this function of being an enabler and not only a funding agency was very important for me before this meeting, and now as it is confirmed, it is even more important. Now coming to some numbers. Overall, the member states confirmed a number of 10.3 billion euros. I'm now always looking, again, Jean-Max, if I do something wrong, please correct me. But don't take the numbers really very accurate. I will give you rough numbers, and you will get the exact numbers as soon as we have finalized them, and then that's much better. So 10.3, this is a big amount of money for the future. It allows us to really go forward. And it covers all the different areas. Earth observation, we have the new envelope program, EOP5, we have additional public-private partnership. Interesting enough, this program is even oversubscribed, so we can do more than we originally thought. We have programs for the special to look into the ozone in the stratosphere, a mission called Altius. So altogether about 1.4 billion euro, again, rough number. And this program is, of course, not only a European program, it is also globally connected with NASA, with JAXA, NOAA, and other partners. And it is, of course, also in the times of COP21, 22, etc., looking especially also to climate changes. Then we have the Artist program, which has very many different slices. We could explain all of them, not me, but Magali could do it in details. But I would just say some words about that. We are entering also in the digital world over there, because we have our digital agenda for ESA. This is also part of our program for ESA, but digital agenda is also part of the shift of paradigm, digitalization, and therefore we have quantum cryptography as a new tool. We have laser communication. We have GlobeNet, not in that amount as we would like to have it, but we can go a step forward. We can make a step forward for the global connection of these activities. So the Artist program is altogether about 1.3 billion euro. Huh? 1.2? Okay, 1.2. You see, this is the importance I need. People that I'm always telling more than I know. So, and even higher. Okay, then we come to navigation. So we are looking to programs even beyond the Galileo programs to develop new things. And this program is about, Paul, where are you? 70 million. Yes, rough numbers. Then I go to launchers. With the launcher decision we had here, of course, Ariane 6, Ariane Vega C, this is a story we defined before, but it was important to have also the continuation secured until we have these new launchers available. So it is preparation of new technologies, new ideas in the future. It is exploitation, support of exploitation. Of course, also Kourou is part of that. And then we have new activity. You know that we have the successful story of IXV, and we want to use this heritage and to go to something what we call Space Rider, which should be the continuation of the IXV, to use it also for microgravity research, etc. So altogether, I look to Daniel, 1.6 billion euro. I go to exploration. Exploration, we have now a new instrument installed. It's an envelope program like in Earth observation. Still, it's growing because we have some fixed elements from the past in it, like ExoMars and ISS, but it's a new envelope definition. And with that, we can now also confirm that we are going to 2024 with the International Space Station. So this is important for our relation, of course, with NASA, JAXA, Roscosmos, and the Canadian Space Agency. And also this contains the completion of the ExoMars 2020 mission. So all of this together is about 1 point, and in this case I use the exact number because it's so nice, 1.444. So I'm not sure whether it's the final number, but this is what I have here. David can correct it if necessary. Okay, then I come to SSA, Space Situational Awareness. By the subscription we got, we can double our activities in that area. It's now about 90 million, Rolf, is it? Huh? 95, you see, the 5 is important for them. That's right, 95. And this will also lead to the decision to go later on to either L1 or L5 position for observations. So this is also in cooperation with others like NASA and JAXA. So then the question was, I mentioned that at the beginning with ESA without aim. Yes and no. So again, we have a lot of aims, but the program aim could not get the full subscription we wanted or we needed really to ensure this program to run smoothly. But it was clear from very many member states, even those which were not able to contribute in the amount we needed, to say it's very important, and therefore we will go on with that. We will not go on with the original AIM program, but this asteroid activity, looking to asteroid, how can we really defend our planet in case something is happening and Bruce Willis is not ready to do it a second time. So therefore the asteroid activities will be continued. There was a clear demand from the member states to have very soon another workshop for the definition of how we can continue. But there's also money available for this. This is important. So this money was put in our general study program, which is oversubscribed. The final number is 450 for me. 445 is more for me, 450 million euros. So within this GSDP, we are doing innovation, technology, delivery, but also especially now the asteroid preparatory works we will put into that, and we will see how we will continue. There were even some member states saying, okay, we are so eager with that, but we want to first see what we can do right now, and then we'll provide some more money for that, which I think is good. So not to have a misunderstanding, this 445 is not just for asteroids. There is more in it, but we could secure some of the money which was originally planned for AIM to put in there, and therefore, and I will be with NASA next week, and we will see what and how we can continue. But I'm personally very much involved in that, dedicated, because this is some responsibility and people deserve that we are looking to that. So finally, the so-called level of resources, which is always a little bit misinterpreted and also not really judged perfectly. So this level of resources is not something like a basic funding of ESA. It is also program-oriented. So the biggest program within the level of resource is the science program. So we are continuing the science program with all the fascinating and inspiring missions, which have already a plan for the next 20 years, one can say, right, Alvaro? Yes, 20 years. And we have then, in addition to the science program, the basic activities, and again, basic activities is not just the activity of the Director General, it is not administration, it is really science and technology, so it's discovery, but also education, it is long-term data preservation, it is EarthNet linked to the Earth observation, technology transfer, the business incubation centers, so a lot of activities within this LOR. And we are very happy that we get also some increase in that stepwise for the future by 1%. And we will see that this is then hopefully also sustained in the future with further increase. So all in all, I must say it was really a very challenging time for me. So first time is always even more difficult than when you know how to do it as a routine aspect. But I'm very thankful and grateful to all supporters, of course, especially Begonia as the chair lady of the meeting, but also to the many people who are not visible directly in the front and cannot speak like I always I'm allowed to, but behind the curtain and give me the right papers at the right time so that I say correct words. So I would like, even this might be a little bit strange in a press conference, but I would like to thank all of them, because without the support of all these many women and men, nothing would be possible, and space deserves our full activity. So now this is what I wanted to say, and I'm of course ready for questions you have. Thank you very much.
The question and answer session is open. I don't have to forget about the bell, but I will do it afterwards as a final closure. No. It's I'll tell you later. We enchain with question and answers. Raise your hands. Make sure that one of those two ladies sees that you're raising your hand, and they have microphones. Introduce yourself, as usual. Say who you are and who you're right for. Starting with Peter, I see already a hand there. A microphone to this gentleman here, please.
Yeah, thanks. Mr. Director General, first a request and a question. Request, numbers. We've not received many numbers. Even your proposals that go into the council meeting were not made available to us here. A couple of the directors kindly gave us their detailed figures, but if you could give us access to that today, so we find out just going into the ministerial what you're asking for. Second request, the numbers that came out of the meeting. What are we going to be able to get before the sun sets in Lucerne today in terms of numbers from you? Obviously, all of us have planes and trains and automobiles to get, but in the next 5 hours, that would be important to get something more than just what you've given us here in terms of specific numbers without going through numbers at a big briefing like this. The question, the ExoMars business, is my understanding you were asking for a total of about 450 million euros, less 100 million that would come from the level of resources, equals 350 million you were asking the delegations for. So you got the 340 to 350 million euros for that. That's good. On the level of resources, where do you find that other 100 million? And I guess the first one, could you commit that we'll get some numbers today that are a little more detailed, a little more voluminous than the one you've given us so far?
Okay, so answers, you will get the contents of the resolutions, and there you have the numbers. This answer number one. We cannot provide you with all the different tables, and they would not help you. So these are tables which are working tables, but you will get the contents of the resolutions with the numbers. So clear. I don't know how fast it Works, Jean-Max? Okay. Second one, ExoMars. So it is important that the overall amount, now I look to David, was 440 approximately, right? So, yeah, so 440. And these 440 is confirmed that the member states are pay for that. They pay for this whole amount. It's the exact numbers are 339 plus 97, which is 436. Okay. So you correctly pointed out that there are different sources, but this is for ExoMars no difference. ExoMars will not see that the money comes from different sources. It will just fly. You are right. It comes partially from LOR and partially from an extra subscription. And the extra subscription is 339 within the E3P, but in a cage, so to say. And the other one is a 97 coming from LOR. And by having the increase in LOR, the yearly increase, we can really get that money and use that money without having a detriment to the basic activities or the science. That's touched is always a difficult word, if you mean touched. We touch all this science, I can tell you. That's what we like. But it will not be to the detriment of the space of science or LOR. This is the right wording. If you ask me really, will it not be touched? There must be. We need to a little bit in time. We have to move it a little bit, but it will not be touched, and it will no program postponed for that or something like that. It will be at the end of the day. It will be not to the detriment of science and not to the detriment of basic activities. It's the opposite. At the end of, not the end of the day, but at the end of this procedure, both the basic activities as well as the science will be on a higher level. And this is a good situation.
We have a question there. This gentleman here, raise your hand. Joseph.
Thank you, Josep Corbella from La Vanguardia, from Barcelona. First, I would like to support Mr. De Selding's request for more transparency. This is an issue, just to let you know, that has been widely discussed in the fifth floor. And I think it's not a personal, individual request. It's a general feeling among us who are covering this meeting that we fully understand that you cannot be transparent to the point of being dysfunctional. We are not asking for data that might be dysfunctional for negotiations, but we feel that, well, this trickle of data that comes from different delegations, well, this is not functional exactly. So I fully endorse Mr. De Selding's request. And then, thank you. Perfect. Okay, and then just a few data. Whether you could, in exploration, how much goes to the ISS, if you could tell us that, and then in contributions which are science program and basic activities, whether that can be separated, how much goes to science and how much goes to basic activities, if that can be done. Thank you.
Okay. So first of all, I just have to show you. You see, pages like this is not a help for you. No. No, this page is AIM. Huh? This is the AIM page, and we had within the discussion we had a lot of going forward and backward, and therefore this is not helpful. You will get the transparency now compared to basic activities and science. Can you give the direct number, Jean-Max?
For basic activities, it's 232 million euros per year. And for science,
508 for science, 232 for basic activities. And then they are escalated by 1% per year. And we have 3.8.
Even more, 3.813.
3.813. Okay. So, yes.
So basic activities in science is just a part of that.
Both together are the 3.8 billion. But the difference is the one is per year and the other one is the overall amount per 5 years.
So the ones you've told us, 508 for science is per year?
Yes. 508 per year and 232 per year.
Okay, so it's multiplied by 5.
Right. Yeah, not just by 5. You will see that you will get a lower number because you have to add the 1% per year. Therefore, you have to.
Another question.
What? ISS. There was a question of ISS and so on. David, before I say any wrong number, it's better than you give it.
Can we have a microphone for the gentleman here in first row, please? Otherwise, it's not recorded and the interpreters cannot.
So for the International Space Station Exploitation Programme element, it's 807 million euros. And for the supporting utilisation, that is the science that uses the space station, it's a further 153 million euros.
Thank you. Further questions? I saw a hand raised there. Raise your hand clearly, otherwise you don't get the mic. And introduce yourself, please.
It's Jonathan Amos from BBC News. Can I just, first of all, just echo what my colleagues have said? If we're going to talk about Space 4.0, then one of the pillars of that ought to be transparency. So I would welcome that.
Where are you missing transparency? You will get it. What is your missing?
No. We just.
A couple of dossiers, just a couple of basic points.
Yep.
The Director General's proposal made 3 weeks ago. We could have used that.
You have the microphone, please.
Okay. The Director General's proposal, you have given us what you call program families. We would like to know the names and size of all the children in each of the families. That's first thing. Second, and this will take time, what's coming out of this meeting so that we can compare coming in and coming out. Sorry, it's what we do.
Just on the topic of the space station, can you say something about what the implications are now for going to 2024? One assumes this also triggers a second service module for Orion.
So it's a clear commitment to go to 2024. We will now discuss with NASA about different issues in that respect. So it's the BART element. It's also the astronaut flights. That's now the normal work of David to come to clear messages in that respect. David.
But I can confirm we would go forward.
Again, wait for the microphone, please.
I can confirm that we would go forward with the second service module for Orion. Through to completion, indeed.
Thank you. More questions? Raise your hand clearly. Right here, second row, please. Introduce yourself.
Alexander Stern, freelance science writer from Germany. We heard a lot about Space 4.0, about transparency. Why is this meeting where you are deciding about taxpayers' money still held behind closed doors? Would be my first question. And if I may, a second one, you probably heard that there has been an election in the US. You mentioned your visit to NASA. What do you expect from the new NASA administration? And was this transition kind of a topic or an elephant in the room during this meeting, especially with the Orion and your dependency on the BART element?
The first point is, yes, I'm really focusing on transparency and on participation, and I try to be as transparent as possible and transparent as reasonable. So why reasonable? I think some of the discussions we have need some more confidential atmosphere, I should call it. And this is very important because then we exchange opinions. So even in the big room, we sometimes go to splinter meetings to solve the one or the other issue. We had one yesterday very late, one very early in the morning this day. So this is just because these issues are so interlinked, so it's a give and take between member states saying, okay, we will support a little bit here, if you support us a little bit here. This is something, if you would record it, you would say, oh, what is happening here? So, but at the end, we got a good conclusion, and this is where I would like as transparent as possible. But the process itself, it's a question of trust between the different partners, from my opinion, and it is better to have really this the atmosphere of the inner circle. We could, of course, at the final point when we are confirming the final numbers, that could be done in public, but that's what we are here now. These are exactly the numbers of the final confirmation. So this is just that you can understand. But I will take note of that. So and we'll see whether we can do anything in this respect concerning the American situation, the no election. So of course, as we knew before, even before the election, that it was clear that there will be another administrator. That was clear because Charlie Bolden said he will retire. I should better say retire beginning of next year. Now, with the election of the new president, this will be a total new administration at the top of NASA. I will have meetings next week on different levels of NASA. Of course, I will also meet Charlie Bolden. He is still the administrator, and of course, he is the head of NASA. I cannot tell you anything about my expectation for the future. This is much too early. We know that there is a transition team working right now. We have contacts to NASA to get the best information. What does it mean also for the cooperation between NASA and ESA in the future? I hope that it's, as I always say, preaching also some different movements on the earth. So therefore, I'm looking forward to have contact then also to the new administration and hope that we can continue our very fruitful cooperation.
Raise your hand again. There's another question here.
Thanks, Thierry Dubois, Aviation Week. Can you clarify whether your next meeting with the EASA will be only with the current administration, or will you also meet the transition team?
No, it will be only with the current administration. The transition team will not be the coming administration. So therefore, the transition team is organizing for the president-elect the transition from one to the other NASA administration. But as the future NASA administration is not defined, at least to my knowledge, maybe they have an internal name, but there are some names floating around. This is not what I'm doing, but we will meet also some politicians at that time, just to get some better picture how we can proceed in the future.
Thanks.
Other questions? Microphone. Behind, second row. Yeah. Introduce yourself, please.
Stefan Borensky, Aerospatium. Just for a point of detail, 1% more every year for the science budget. Is it compensating the inflation or already inflation included?
Good question. This was behind the curtain, or you would say very intransparent. It was a long discussion whether we should the HICP, which I learned, whether we should use the normal inflation, whether we should purchasing power or whatever. So you can have several indices. Right now, it would cover the inflation because the inflation is very low. But what will be the inflation in 2, 3, 4 years? We don't know. So it's a crystal ball you need for that. I hope, of course, that this decision of the member states will cover some costs increase. But it's also not only the general inflation, but it's also a question of the salary increase, etc. So it is. I cannot clearly answer that question, but I can tell you that in the first years, we are eating up this increase for the ExoMars program. And it's not only science, it's the same also for the basic activities, just to add that.
More hands? Okay.
Thanks, Thierry Dubois again for Aviation Week. I, of course, endorse my colleagues' comments on transparency. And my question is about Space Rider. Could you please elaborate a bit on Space Rider? What is it going to do? Do you have a budget, a more precise budget to give us? What's the time frame?
Yeah, I have to find it now in my paper. If somebody is faster than me, throw it to me. Huh, 30?
32.
32. So we have an overall amount which we said we should need for the next step of about 43 million euro. We have a threshold which has to be which has to be reached at least before you can go on, before it makes sense. And this threshold was 60%, and this threshold was reached. So we go on, but the time frame now depends very much. So this first part is, of course, only doing some first work in that. So it will not be the full Space Rider after 3 years. I look to Daniel. What is the overall time frame?
Do you have a microphone, please?
Thank you. So time frame, the idea is to launch in 2021 at the latest, and we can go up to CDR with commitment from today.
Question over there, please. Microphone.
Jacqueline Murre is a freelance space journalist. I also would like to comment and support my colleagues. It's not about telling us secrets what is going on behind the scenes. Transparency is also to get information, and just reading the website and following the press conference online, that's not the meaning of coming here and having a lack of information. Thanks a lot to the host, because coffee and croissants we had more than enough, but the food of journalists is information. So if you could consider this would be a big help, because we are not your enemies, we are just supporting you. And in this respect is my question. You have so far given away minimalistic information, and I'm very interested in the ISS program, for example. So we got just two figures. The one is 807 million for exploitation and the 153 for science utilization. So could you please elaborate a bit on that, saying us or explaining us, can we hold the level of science on the ISS? Do we have to cut budgets again, or do we have to cut science? Sorry.
Okay.
And what does it mean exactly? So
okay.
that kind of information is very much wanted and appreciated.
David will give you in a minute answer for that. What you will get, and it should be already be able to distribute it as a paper to give you more information about what was decided. And I can accept that you're saying that even this is not in the detail you would like to have it. We should think about it, Franco, what we can provide in addition, the detailed numbers. I understood that. We have to see in which what we can give and what is still helpful for you. But concerning the ISS, I again would like David to react on that.
So the sum of money I mentioned for ISS exploitation is a commitment for the next 3-year period until the next ministerial. The expenditure is over is a longer period, so commitment is not the same as expenditure, and it will allow us to continue operation of the Columbus laboratory, to complete the first service module, do the second service module, and start work to define what will be additional barter elements to support the space station beyond the 2019 period. So the second service module is, if you like, a down payment for barter element for the post-2020 period, but we need to fill up that barter out to 2024, but those elements are yet to be defined. And it will allow us to continue to operate a range of scientific activities aboard the station, so it's a broadly continuity in the annual expenditure of the science program. We call it SciSpace now, Science in the Space Environment. It also includes some of the science that's done in the analog facilities, such as sounding rockets and so on.
Microphone, please, otherwise it's difficult to...
Yeah,
quite clearly, fundamentally, the astronaut flights out to the 2019 period. So we have Alex Gerst scheduled to become commander of the space station in 2018, and be other astronaut selections after that. Well, basically, it's roughly one a year.
We heard from the Italian delegation there will be a flight opportunity for Italy.
Okay, the situation is that I announced that we will. You see, we cannot directly define who is flying because it's within this operation and this cooperation with the other partners of the space station. So we can propose names, and then this goes through a process and will be assigned. And we said that we will propose an astronaut of Italian nationality for a 2019 flight. Yes, I can confirm that. But again, it's you have to be, my words are really, I hope, very clear. We cannot decide that. We can propose the name, and we will propose the name, and then the MCOP, this group, decides finally, accepts or say, no, that doesn't fit to our plan because of blah, 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 I don't know. But so therefore, just to be very clear, we will propose that, yes, and we stated it yesterday to the Italian delegation.
And any other proposals in the pipeline, just since we are talking about the topic?
No, but there are some more demands, yes.
There's another question here.
From different countries.
And then we go over there. Okay.
But we are happy to have right now a European in the ISS, Thomas Pesquet, and he's doing a very nice work already. So this is also a good message.
Okay,
Hi, John Miller from Reuters. A member of the German delegation described the UK contribution to the space station as nearly modest. What was the contribution? Was it too little? And was the contribution impacted by domestic politics? Thanks.
Again, David, forget about your nationality.
I apologise for the nationality, but I can confirm that the UK has provided the amount of funding requested for the space station, and indeed has made some indications about longer-term commitment as well. So it was positive. What was the number? That I don't have. I'm happy to find that out. But you're probably quicker to ask them. They'll have it quicker than I do.
There's another question there, Joseph. Raise your hand, Joseph.
Thank you. It's just that this project of the mini launcher to launch payloads under 500 kilograms, has this been going forward?
Daniel?
Down here, the microphone, first row, please.
Thank you. For the preparation of the future, we have quite a substantial amount, and this includes, of course, also the subject of the micro-launchers. So we have an envelope over 200 million for maturation of technologies, for preparing future propulsion, especially LOX methane. This is a key topic in order to reduce costs. And in this, and to accelerate time to market, and in this context, we will also analyze what ESA can do with its member states on micro-launchers.
Yes, there's a question here, and okay, then we swap. Introduce yourself, please.
Alexander Stern, freelance science writer. Did you talk about possible projects after 2024 for the time after the ISS? And was the Moon Village a topic during the meeting, even if it's not a program?
Yes, so I made it clear to the delegations that we need also visionary programs for the far future, but then the vision I put on the table is for the near future, and this is a Moon Village. But it's clear it's not a project. I can repeat and repeat, and maybe I use the wrong words because it's difficult to understand me. It's not a project, it's not a program, it is a concept, and this concept is already in place. So it doesn't need any special commitment from the member states, but it is something where this function of ESA as an enabler is asked. So we are now having a list of actors worldwide who would like to participate in this Moon Village concept. There are ideas of companies, not only ideas, projects of companies to go to the moon, and they want to be part of this community, meaning we are joining forces. There are companies offering payloads. There are public entities going to the moon and offering payloads. Even NASA is part of this. Therefore, the Moon Village was a part of our discussion at the very beginning when we discussed about the general ideas, etc., etc. And it's important for me that this doesn't not disturb the other activities, but it is an additional vision. And again, it does not need any, I'm always asked, when does it start? It started already. That's just to mention. It started already. It's a permanent concept. If you want to create a village on Earth, you don't need a first day. You just say, I do it. And exactly this is what we are doing over there. And we have day by day some reactions worldwide that some entities are saying, okay, we would like to be part of that story, and we are doing it. So we are an enabler. We have our cooperation with Russia concerning that. We have our cooperation with the Americans. But this is not a project. I know it's a little bit boring that I repeat it, but it's important for me that this is not misunderstood.
Okay, we have time for 2 more questions. There's a microphone there.
My train is tomorrow morning.
Okay, so we have more time. And for the Minister Dezember will be again available for the Swiss press, so don't worry, he's not disappearing. And Kamlesh will be your point of reference. Raise your hand, Kamlesh. They know you're ready. Okay. And, okay, we continue then with the questions which were in chain.
Thorsten Dambeck for the German science magazine Bild der Wissenschaft. Regarding the ExoMars project, as far as I understood, ExoMars is now fully financed, and it looks like it's broadly accepted, therefore. But on the other hand, this mission has a history of postponing. Could a further postponing of the mission the mission jeopardize? What is the debate?
Okay, to be very transparent with that, this was a debate also on the executive level, and we ask ourselves what does it mean when we proposed to move it from 2018 to 2020. And we went several times to Moscow. We had meetings with our Russian colleagues. We set up a monthly report about that. So we have internally a monthly report. The Inspector General was looking into lessons learned of the first years of ExoMars. We set up a common group of Russian and European industry as well as from the agency. So we did all of this, and for us a further delay is no option. This has some reason. We have the TGO, the Trace Gas Orbiter. We have an orbit of Mars, and you of course saw that the very nice pictures with a high resolution, so it's working perfectly in that respect. We know also that the relay function is working perfectly because we, through the TGO, we got all the data from Schiaparelli until the impact on the surface of Mars, so it was not interrupted before. So we got all of this data. By the way, this is also now investigated to understand in detail and also what happened, and also as a lesson learned for the next mission. So we are confident that the money and the schedule is mature. So this is, and I look to David because he has a responsibility. Finally, I have it, but I could put everything on him. No, so we are really doing together, and I'm personally also involved. So I went to Russia. I have frequently telephone conference with the head of the Russian space agency, Igor Komarov. We have regularly an update. By the way, what we are doing the same, one should not forget that we are with the Americans at the same time building the BARTA element, the Multi-Purpose Crew Vehicle European Service Module, MPCV ESM, and there we have the same in order to be in time and schedule. We have also monthly teleconferences, and there are some shifts now in order to allow really the schedule for the for ExoMars. There's some shift from Russia to Europe. Also this was discussed, also this is included, so I can just tell you today I am very confident that we will do it, and we have some contingency in the timing, some margin. We need to work hard day by day because it's not only some rover or whatever. You know, we have the payloads from different sources, from entities, from our member states. All of this has to pack together. So it's not an easy thing, but we are confident that we will succeed.
Okay, last question then, Peter, and then our Director General will still be around, but we do it afterwards. We need to free the other two ministers.
Sorry, just two follow-ups. On the launcher program, the Prometheus, possibly reusable LUX methane engine, is that in there, and what's the budget? And on science, Mr. Director General, I'm not sure I've understood. If you tell me that my budget for anything is going up by 1% a year, that's less than the cost of living is going up. So that means, after inflation, that means a decline. And if in addition to that, I have a pull on that budget, even modest and justified in its early years because of ExoMars, then something has to give. So maybe Alvaro could tell us what had to give.
I can answer the first part, the second part, the first part, Alvaro can say something. So you're right, if the purchasing power request, the index is higher than 1%, or even not only higher than 1%, you have to leave? Okay, goodbye. Then we are, for the next years, we are in a little bit difficult situation. This is right, because this 1% eats more or less, is eaten up by the ExoMars activity. This is right, that means for this time, I expect, if not the inflation is really zero, then there is some effect also on science and the level, the basic activities. But if, and I hope that is the case, that the inflation is really very, very low, there are some indications to that, then we can have even a very, very modest increase already during that time. But nominally, but in the real numbers, we have to see what the inflation will do. That's always the case. We did not get a free ticket from the member states, the normal index plus something. We did not get that, but I think we will, with what we are now getting from the member states, we will do the best out of it, and I'm confident we can. Alvaro, would you like to add something?
Microphone here in first row, please.
Yes, thank you. With the approval of the level of resources, in particular for the science program, what I can confirm is that we can do what we are committed to, and we can launch the missions that we plan to launch in the period, which from now to 21, the 5 years period. So this is not affected. Of course, there is an effect that you were mentioning. I think is not so big, but it has an effect for new commitments, for new things, missions that were not thought to be launched in the period, but we have to start. Now, if we have to delay some starts or to make some discussions about efficiencies applied to parts of the science program where we can still improve, we have that challenge, and we will go into that in discussion with all member states.
Yes, thanks. Prometheus is within FLPP, within this envelope of 200 million. It's a dedicated component, and we are covered at 83%. So 83%, yes, of 100.
Okay, I'm afraid we have to close this press conference here, and we have to free our Vice Minister. Thank you very much. Mr. Dell'Ambrogio. Minister Dell'Ambrogio will be back in 15 minutes from now if the Swiss press still needs it. Thank you very much. And I invite you all to go back to the press center. I will be distributing this document, which contains basically already a good amount of figures in terms of resolutions on level of resources. So it goes to the cent. There's figures also for the resolutions of the CSG. The other figures that are referred to programs, as we said, transparency will come. It takes time to work figures out. Give us a little bit of time with Jean-Max and DG. We'll sort out also your request of members of the families that we have announced in the global press release. Please bear with us. Thank you very much, and see you in the press center. Thank you to all our participants. DG, thank you.